All right, welcome to the show. Our guest today is Heather Hart. She is an international best-selling author and award-winning author, and she works as an author coach at trainingauthors.com. She enjoys working from home, where she spends her days typing away at her computer, brainstorming new marketing ideas, and encouraging other authors to achieve success. So Heather, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit more about your background and how you got started as an author.
I've always written ever since I was a kid. I just love to write. I guess it's one of those childhood stories. Um, I started publishing in 2009 with a co-author, and I've just been going ever since. I've got almost 15 books published, I believe.
Yeah, awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah, cool. So, I mean, what inspired you to start out as an author? Because I know lots of people have the idea to write a book, but they never really, get around to it.
I actually just kind of fell into it, and this doesn't happen to a lot of authors, but I had twins, and that caused me to have 4 children under 5 years old, so I couldn't afford daycare to work outside the home, so I started volunteering with someone else who already wrote books, and we co-authored our first book, and that just kind of got the ball rolling, and I was a published author before I really even knew what I was doing.
Yeah, awesome. So you had that relationship that someone that really spurred you on and encouraged you to get it out there.
Definitely.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, I know today on the show we want to talk about how to get awesome reviews for people's books on Amazon and Goodreads and places like that. So tell us some of your awesome tips on how to get more book reviews.
The best thing that I've ever found to get book reviews is to start a dedicated email list for book reviewers. So you can email them out whenever you have a new book, and then they can respond if they want a free review copy of that book. That is the best way that I have found to get them. As soon as we started our list, it really just transformed the number of reviews we were getting on our books.
Awesome. So how did you set that whole process up? And what tools were you using? How did you let people know about the opportunity?
Well, by the time we started getting reviews for our books, or started trying to get reviews for our books, we already had a really big following. So all we had to do was send out one email saying, hey, if you'd like to be on our reviewer list, you can apply here. And we just had them sign up for essentially a second email list that we started that was dedicated to reviewers. And we outlined the process really well. What we did was we said, if you'd like a free review copy, you have to agree to review it on Amazon and Goodreads. And if you have a blog, you can review it there as well. And they have to do the FTC disclaimer saying that they got a free copy in exchange for an honest review. And then we just send them a free ebook copy.
Cool. Cool. So they sign up basically on your website for the email list, and then they're just on that list waiting until you release a new book, and then you say, hey, we're coming out with a new book, and as a reviewer you get it for free, and they have to respond back and say yes, we want it, and then you send it out, or how's that work?
Yep, that's exactly how it works. So they respond saying, yes, I'd like a copy of this book. And sometimes we ask them, do you want a free Smashwords copy? Do you want us to send you a PDF or Mobi file? How would you like to receive this book? And then they'll let us know what kind of file they want, and we send it to them that way. And we just say, this is our time frame. Please post your review before our launch on this date, or within 2 to 4 weeks, or whatever it is.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great tip, to make sure you send them the file that they want, because I know I've done things with reviewers before, and I've sent people a PDF, and they're like, no, I want the Mobi, I want the EPUB, I want some other file. And so, yeah, I mean, if they're not going to read the book or read it as quickly and review it as quickly if you don't give them the file that they really want.
Exactly, and I'm on several review programs like this for traditional publishers, and they usually offer ebook or print books, and they always say on theirs what type of file it is. And if you want to get reviews before the book goes out, like before it's actually published, you can say, this is an advanced review copy, and label it that way so that they know not to judge you for all the spelling errors or the plot problems that you're still working out, so you can get reviews coming in before your book is actually ready to go out.
Oh, cool. So, okay, so you guys are actually also doing this for books even before they're done and finally edited. So you're sending them out maybe several drafts in. You're sending out advanced review copy to get feedback.
We usually do it right before our final stage. We'll send it out, and we usually send it out to reviewers and our last proofreader at the same time. That way, they're all coming through at the same time, and we're ready at the launch date.
Gotcha. Cool. So, so then how do people, because people can't review the book until it's launched, right? So do you say, hey, write the review before, or do you just once it's launched, you tell them, hey, go write the review now?
If we send it out before it's available on Amazon, we say we'll send you a link when it's ready usually on this day. We tell them when it's going to be. However, I have in the past published a Kindle ebook on Amazon and just labeled it as an ARC, as an advanced review copy, so people know not to buy it. I don't like doing that very often, and usually not for more than a few days. Like if I think it's almost ready and I want the reviews to start coming in, you can do that. But you can also publish it on Amazon, the final version, once it is ready, before you actually launch the book. Like we often publish our books on Amazon 2 weeks before the official launch. So the book is the final copy. It's ready to be read by people. If somebody does buy it, it's not a huge deal. But we're not ready to start marketing it yet. So you can publish it before you're ready to actually launch the book.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, so that's a great idea. So you're basically publishing it on Amazon and say, hey, reviewers, go review it real quick, and then a week or 2 weeks later you start the actual launch where you're doing all your marketing promotions.
Exactly.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. So what kind of marketing and promotions are you guys using? Are you using KDP Select? Are you publishing everywhere?
It depends on the book. A lot of our books are just in KDP Select because we want to use the free days or the countdown deals.
Yeah.
But we also do a lot of them that are on everywhere. So we usually publish those through Amazon directly, and then we'll publish them through Smashwords, which will put them on Barnes & Noble and iTunes and all those places. But it also gives us the opportunity to use those Smashwords coupons so we can send our reviewers the free coupon to review the book.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Cool. Cool. So for your email list, what are you guys using? Are you using MailChimp or something else?
We use Traffic Wave. And the reason we do that is because it's a one set fee. You just pay like $19 to $20 per month, no matter how big your list gets, no matter how many subscribers you get, no matter how many emails you send out. It's still just that one set fee. A lot of the other ones pay you per subscriber, per email, and the more your list grows, the more expensive that gets for you. And the more lists you have, the more expensive that gets for you. So that's what we have chosen to use for now.
Cool. That's cool. I've never actually heard of that one, so I'll just check that out. Traffic Wave. So we'll link to that under the show, in the show notes.
All right.
Cool. So what other awesome tips for reviewers? I mean, that's a great way to do it. That sounds like a really awesome strategy, and I think a lot of authors aren't using that, so they should. But what else? For someone starting out without a platform, without a following, what could they do to start generating more reviews?
Definitely. There are several little things that authors can do that can help generate reviews. If you have an email list at all, you can just email out saying, hey, if you have read this book, would you mind leaving a review on Amazon and include the link? You can put just a little snippet in the back of your book saying, if you read it on a Kindle, when you scroll through to the very end, it will say, would you like to review this book on Amazon? But a lot of readers don't get all the way through. They stop at the end of the actual book content. They don't read the back matter to get to that prompting from Amazon. So you can add in a little snippet saying, if you like this book, would you review it on Amazon and include a link? And sometimes that will remind them to go all the way through and write a review, or they can just click the link and go right there. And you can also put that in paperback books. So if somebody's reading the paperback book, it's a tangible reminder to them saying, hey, go review this book for me.
Cool, cool. And so you put that snippet like immediately after the last chapter of the book, so it's not at the end?
Exactly. That way they see it as soon as they finish reading the book.
Yeah, that's really smart. So it's like the last chapter, the last word of the last chapter, next page says, hey, if you love this book, leave a review, and then it's like the about the author section and that kind of stuff at the end.
Yep, exactly.
Cool, that's really smart. I've never actually seen anyone do it that way. That sounds like definitely a way to get a little bit more people doing it, because like you said, yeah, sometimes they read the last word and they just, they don't want to read your bio. They just
they're done. So that's really helped increase our reviews. You can also post, there are dedicated groups on Facebook and LinkedIn where readers want free review copies, so you can check those out and find groups that are either genre specific or even just general groups in general where you can post that saying, hey, if you'd like a free copy of my book in exchange for an honest review, just let me know. Or if you are in the KDP Select program, you can post to those groups on your free days and let them know they get a free copy and that you'd love to have a review from them.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so maybe you can share after the show, you can send us a link to some of the best Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups you found for authors, and we can share that out as well.
Definitely. I actually have a page on my website where you can go after our interview. It's called trainingauthors.com/Heather Said, and I'll have all the links that I mentioned during this, or all the tools and resources that I've mentioned during this podcast.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks. Cool. So, what about friends and family? Because I know a lot of people, if you don't know anyone, you don't have a following yet, a lot of people think, oh, I should go email my friends and family for reviews. What do you think about that?
I think that's generally a bad idea because the friends and family are they're biased, honestly. And Amazon actually has a review policy saying that the author cannot review their book and nobody can review the book on behalf of the author. And when you ask your friends and family to do it, they're doing it as a favor to you, not as a reader giving an unbiased review. So that can actually violate Amazon's terms of service. It's very, very sketchy, and I don't recommend that at all.
Hmm. Awesome. Good tip. Yeah, and
Mhm.
I found too, it also kind of like, most people's family members, they don't really want to read your book, and they're, like you said, they're not really a reader of your book, so they don't really care. Like, they're not going to know if it's a good science fiction novel or not because they don't read that kind of stuff. So, yeah, like you said, it's not really kind of review. It's going to cause people to actually want to buy your book anyway.
Definitely. And oftentimes, if you have a family member that go, oh, so and so is so sweet. I'm so glad she published this book, and it's not about the book at all. It's about the author or whatever. Or I've known so and so since they were a little boy, and it's not. Readers just look at those and kind of roll their eyes. It's not going to encourage anyone to read your book. It's just going to be like, that's a worthless review. You need to have reviews from credible people.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so what about, I mean, sometimes you get a review and someone leaves a review, it's like one word, like good book or something like that. Um, is there anything that you do to train your reviewers to leave better reviews or more detailed reviews or more comprehensive reviews?
Sometimes we ask them to share what they liked best about the book or something they learned during the book because we write nonfiction primarily. If you write fiction, you can ask them, hey, in your review, could you mention who your favorite character was? Or you can ask them, prompt them what to leave in their review, and that can kind of help a little bit. But in general, there's really no way. You can't tell them what to write, so it kind of gets into, again, a sketchy territory. Amazon does have a rule where they have to leave so many words. You can't just say good book on Amazon. You can on Goodreads, but on Amazon you have to have like a minimum of 25 words, and that kind of usually helps out a little bit. But again, it's totally up to the reviewer as to what they write. Now, what you can do is you can go to the Amazon top reviewers and find a reviewer there that reads books in your niche that writes really good reviews and contact them about reviewing your book. Just make sure that it is an author who reads your genre. You don't want to contact someone who primarily reads romance and ask them to review a horror story. It's just not good. I've had several people contact me and say, hey, would you review my book? You're going to love it. It's about this. And I'm like, ew, why would I ever want to read that? Why would anyone want to read that? But it's just because people have different tastes. So make sure that you're contacting someone that will like to read your book. Otherwise, it's just kind of like spam mail.
Mhm. Definitely. That's such a great point, and I think it's true universally, like not just on Amazon. I mean, on Facebook and on Twitter and anywhere. Like you don't want to just ask like your friends and family or other authors who don't read your work to come and like your fan page and follow you on Twitter and leave you a review because it's not your audience, and they're going to use different words and different language than your audience would use. And so, like if like you mentioned, kind of like the romance novel. Like if you have a romance novel published and all your reviewers are saying things that no romance reader would ever say in their reviews, then when your real, true romance reader fans come and read them, they're gonna be like, well, something's not right here, and they might not, logically know what it is, or consciously know what it is, but they're gonna feel kind of, this isn't really the right book for me.
It can also lead to negative reviews because I know that I've gotten some review copies of books where the book was not at all what I was expecting, and I was like, it's not really my reading style. I didn't really like this book because it's not what I wanted. It's not what I read. That can lead to negative reviews for your part. So definitely make sure that you're sending review copies to people within your target audience.
Mhm. Definitely a good idea. So, I mean, what do you do though, even if you do send out, books to people and they leave you one-star reviews or bad reviews? How do you deal with that?
I usually just let it go. Every good book has a negative review, and every reader is entitled to their opinion. If it's an unfair review, you can contact Amazon and report it as abuse, but it has to be unfair. If they're reviewing, well, it didn't get here in time, or I don't like ebooks and this was a Kindle book and I wanted to print, or something like that, Amazon will delete those for you because they're inappropriate. However, if it's just a negative book because they didn't like your story, just leave it. I have actually personally bought a book based off of somebody else's negative review. Everything that they hated about the book is exactly what I was looking for. So based off of that one 1-star review, I bought the book. So just because you have a 1-star review doesn't mean you're a bad author. It means that somebody with a different taste read your book. So I just leave them alone and ignore them, and I generally don't ask them to review books for me again, though.
Yeah, so you quietly take them off your reviewers list.
Generally,
yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's great advice. It can be so hard sometimes. As an author, we especially if it's your first book, it's like, you feel like it's your baby. It's my baby, and I don't want anyone to criticize it. But, like you said, every great book has bad reviews, and I love to look at, Harry Potter. It's got like over 100 1-star reviews. And so I look at that and I think, well, if I've only got 5 1-star reviews, I need, I've got a little ways to go to get up there.
Exactly, and back in the old days, when people had to query the traditional publishers, they got rejected all the time. I mean, famous books, the Chicken Soup for the Soul books got rejected by like 15 publishers. It was crazy. Just because somebody doesn't like your book doesn't mean it's a bad book. It could be a bestseller. It's just that one person didn't like them. So I usually, like I said, just let them go. Sometimes I like to read through the negative reviews to see if there's anything I could improve. Like if they're saying, well, there was a typo here, you go fix that. Make your book better. If it's constructive criticism, 1-star reviews can be great. 1-star reviews can be great. It's just you've got to look at what they are. Maybe that person was just having a bad day and they bashed everything about you. Those you just kind of have to blow off. Go and read some of the 5-star reviews and let them go.
Yeah, definitely. Well, do you do anything looking at other people's reviews? So I know one thing I found really helpful is to look at other authors in my field and look at the reviews from readers and see like what do they love about the book, what don't they like about the book, and just get a better feel for like who is my actual target reader, who is my customer who's actually going to buy the book that I'm working on.
That's a really great idea, and that would be some great research to do before you finish your book to make sure that you've covered everything that readers want to know. Make sure that you know what other people have already said and what still needs to be said, and you can even use, like on Amazon, if you go through, they can show you some popular highlights. You could even quote some other authors within your book saying, this is what they said if you're writing nonfiction anyway. For fiction, you can compare it to those authors saying, this is what reviewers said about them and this book is similar to theirs. Or, authors aren't competition. This is a term coined by Joanna Penn. She says they're co-opetition. They cooperate because they have the same audience, but readers read more than one book. If they're interested in your genre and your niche, they're going to read at least 5 books, maybe 100, maybe 1,000. You're not competing with other authors for readers. You're working with them to provide the readers with material.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's such a great point. It's such a brilliant point, and I think it's so true. And if you come into the field though with that mindset of, oh, I'm competing with everyone else and I'm all by myself and I'm against all these other authors, then I think you miss out on so many opportunities. And especially when it comes to like actually attracting readers, because other authors in your field already have all those readers reading their books. So all you're really doing is just giving those readers even more information, even more value, even more books. So it's not like you're taking anything away from anyone else. You're actually adding more value to the reader. And the quickest way to get those customers is just go to another author and say, hey, would you share this with your audience?
Exactly, and that brings up a really great point. You can also contact other authors in your niche to review your book. They can't review it on Amazon, but they can write testimonials for you that you could include on the cover if you're doing a paperback copy or in the editorial reviews section on Amazon. And that will put a big name author next to your story, and it could be a great way they could share it with their readership. They might ask you to do the same for them and get your name in front of their audience. Building relationships with other authors in your genre or in your niche is a great tool for getting new readers, for getting reviews, for getting yourself credibility as an author.
Mm-hmm, definitely, absolutely. That is a really great tool. And so, I mean, what are some things that you do to actually add value? Because one of the big things I talk about is, when you're creating these relationships, it's all about adding value to other people and not just take, not just review my book and promote me and give me this and send me customers. But it's really more of a give and take relationship where you're actually helping people and adding value to them. So what are some things that you do to actually actively kind of nourish your network of other authors in your field to actually help them out and support them?
Well, there's lots of different things you can do. You can do a guest blog for their website. You can ask them to blog for your website. It's definitely give and take. I found a lot of the best ways to build relationships with other authors is to get into a Facebook group with authors who are similar to you and add value. The best ones aren't about promoting yourself. it's about the give and take. You know, if an author has a question, you know, you can give feedback, or if they want feedback on their book description, you know, you can get that right in Facebook. There are groups that allow for that or that encourage that. Or if they have a question about how something works, about publishing their book, you know, you can get in there and help them out, dialogue with them, you know, ask about where the best place to market to that audience is. The more you connect with those authors, the more give and take you have with them, the better your relationship gets with them, and the more likely they are to be willing to promote you later on.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. That's awesome. That's great advice. Yeah, and I think you're totally right about the groups. It's not like I see so many groups on Facebook, and it's like you look at the wall, and every like 5 minutes is a post, buy my book is free, buy my book, and I just immediately leave those groups because it's like it's not even worth my time because there's no communication there, right? So there's nothing I can learn from that group. And even when you look at all the posts, like no one's even liking them or commenting them or clicking on those links, so those people aren't even selling books. It's just becomes an entire group of spam.
It is. It's a spam group, and those are the best ones to avoid. Those actually waste your time to post there, and that's time that you don't have to spend as an author usually. So definitely find the groups where there is the give and take. A lot of author groups that are the best don't allow for spam within them. They'll say you cannot post about your book, or you can only post about your books on Fridays in this one thread, or whatever it is. There's a lot of give and take. Some of the groups that I'm in, they do allow for some, you know, hey, will you help me promote this? But the authors there know that they can't abuse that. They can't go and say it every single day. It's just if you're launching a new book, you can ask for help. Otherwise, you keep that to yourself, you know. And there's a lot of give and take, and authors will help each other out. They'll do things for each other that they wouldn't do for anyone else because they know who they are and they respect each other as authors.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, definitely. Yeah, I have the Kindle publishing group on Facebook. We have like 4,000 authors in there. And we've got a couple of moderators, and so the moderators, you know, every day they delete at least 10 spam comments and things like that. And you know, every day I'm deleting several, you know, spam comments and stuff in there, and it's a lot of work to maintain that, but it's so valuable when you get a place where you can just go and say, hey, can you give me feedback on my book cover, or can you give me some ideas of how I can promote this book? And you get, you know, all these people sharing amazing ideas and support and tips that would have taken you years to learn on your own.
Exactly. Another thing you can do is Brian Cohen organized a March to a Bestseller event on Facebook. He's done it twice now, and I was honored to participate both times. But what he does is he takes a whole bunch of authors from the same genre, and they have a Facebook event where all the authors put their books on sale for 99 cents, and they come and spend the day on Facebook chatting with their readers, helping each other out. And there are lots of other ways you can do group promotions with other authors that generate the same results. You can do it via blog posts or whatever, but getting together with another group of authors and supporting them and all promoting the same thing can be a great way to use those author relationships to generate more readers, which usually generates more reviews as well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's such a great thing because there's a win-win for everyone because all the authors, you know, you get to connect with each other, support each other, and then you get to all reach each other's readers by promoting all the same books in one place. So rather than,
exactly.
So it's like you're getting this multiplier effect, which is so cool. And I think that's one of the really important things about marketing is you want this kind of exponential growth. So if it's just you talking about you can only get so far. But the moment you get other authors or other readers and fans promoting you, that's when you start to see sales go like on an exponential level. And you can't get there by being greedy and selfish and like you talked about before, like, you know, in that competition mindset.
Exactly. The more you get with other authors, the more that you support other authors, the more they're going to support you, and the more people you're going to reach in the long run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful relationship. Cool. So, any last tips on reviews? I know we've covered quite a bit already, but is there any other, you know, golden nuggets or special websites that you found that can really help people get reviews?
Well, there's always things that you can do to get reviews, and I've actually written a whole book on this subject. It's called How to Get Honest Reviews, and it just covers, I think there's 7 or 8 different ways in there where authors can leverage their way to get honest reviews that don't break Amazon's terms of service or don't, you know, violate the reader's trust. So you can do giveaways on Goodreads. Those usually bring in some good reviews. They don't always, though. Those are paperback giveaways, so they're more expensive. But you can do reviews or giveaways like that on other places. And you can do, like I said, Kindle free days. If you do a free day on your book, you're going to get some reviews from that. you can't say what kind of reviews are going to be because those are really hard to pick your audience for those. You know, thousands of people download your book, you're going to get thousands of different opinions. So you don't know if they're going to be positive or negative, but it'll generate some usually. But usually, before you start doing things like that, we recommend having at least 10 to 20 reviews already on your book because that will get more people to download it because they'll already be able to see what other people have said. So the key to getting more reviews can be to already have some reviews. So definitely work at it. You know, contact the Amazon top reviewers, let them know that your book is available. But before you do that, just make sure that you've got a good book out there because a bad book will generate bad reviews every single time. You know, make sure you have a good cover so people don't look at it and say, I don't want to review that. Make sure you've got a good title, a good book description. Make sure that it's something that reviewers will want to review.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Heather. You shared a wealth of wisdom with us today, and I really appreciate it. But before you go, tell us where people can find out more about you and the work that you're doing.
If you go to trainingauthors.com/Heather said, you can find a lot of different things. You can find all of my books for authors. You can find links to connect with me on social media and all the resources that I've mentioned here today. The How to Get Honest Reviews book is up there in the top corner, and I can add those links and other links that we talked about as well. So definitely go there and check that out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Heather.
Thanks.